What's up guys, my name is Aaron Jackson. Welcome to another video. And one of the things I've learned about investing is the idea of being patient. Now you can obviously make a lot of arguments about how being patient isn't as good for you because there's a lot of investing strategies where you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, which is great. Then there are things that can support it. For example, if you check out the S&P 500 that tracks the top 500 largest companies out there, you can see that despite what happens from its existence to now, that it always ends up trailing up. So no matter what, at the end of the day, your investment will reap you rewards as long as you're patient. Regardless if you know that or not, there's always those companies where you do the analytics, you do the research, you really like them, and you still just know that they should be worth a lot more than what they currently are. And for a lot of people, you can end up being patient and more excited. But for some people, with a company like Metamaterials, for example, the idea of believing that that price should be higher than what it really is makes people really frustrated. And I've even seen people assume that this company is a scam, which I made a video on, by the way, a while back. Got a lot of people riled up. If you actually watch till the end of the video, you'll see my answer is no. But regardless, make sure you check out that video as well. But I wanted to talk about Metamaterials in the sense of being patient. And hopefully by the end of this video, I can give you guys 4 different reasons why I'm personally being patient with Metamaterials and why I feel like Metamaterials is a long-term hold company. So the first reason sounds like it has absolutely nothing to do with Metamaterials because it has more to do with Facebook, or in this case, the emergence of Meta. Now, if you've at least gone on the internet at least once in the past couple of weeks, you probably would have heard or read the news that Facebook recently changed its corporation name to Meta. Now, Meta, which is short for Metaverse, means to go beyond. And for Facebook, or now the new company Meta, they're going beyond. It's creating technology that's primarily led by AR, or augmented reality. And the ultimate goal is to create applications that allow people to be together without necessarily being in the same room or even in the same city or state or country. And it took me a little while, but I was finally able to get through their hour-plus long video unveiling their new corporation and what that means to them. And a lot of information of what they brought out, what they said, reminded me a lot of Metamaterials. For example, the technology that they unveiled primarily surrounds augmented reality, and that's what's going to help create the technology of the future. But the science behind augmented reality is something that Metamaterials professionalizes in, with the materials that they use that can bend light and other forms of energy. On top of that, even a company as big as Facebook, when it comes to what they're doing right now, they're still on the ground level. They unveiled different types of technology that they currently have out, like the Oculus Quest, different projects of technology that they're going to be coming out with in the future. And then they even said themselves that they're at least a decade behind on what they can ultimately become. So at the end of the day, there's still a lot of experimentation and analytics and research and development that a company as big as Facebook or now Meta has to do. So imagine a company like Metamaterials that's still taking its time to develop has to go through some of the same things as well. So I really feel like Metamaterials at this point is on time. Now, it'd be amazing to know that Metamaterials has some type of partnership with Facebook or now Meta when it comes to their technology. But I think regardless of if it's Facebook or if it's another company, the idea that the metaverse is now becoming something that's very popular, I think it's going to be very beneficial for a company like Metamaterials, because I think the metaverse is something that's going to be a major impact worldwide in the future. Now back to Metamaterials. The second reason why I'm being so patient is their financial statements, more specifically their balance sheets. Now let me throw a couple of disclaimers out there for you guys. First off, the information I'm going to be talking about is based off their Q2, which was from April to June. Second, I'm still learning how to analyze financial statements, balance sheets, income statements, cash flow statements, etc., etc. I plan on making videos about those in the near future, which I really think is going to help benefit me and this channel altogether when we talk about companies that are really popular on this channel and actually mentioning their statements and how that's contributing to the company, and if that means that might be a good company to buy or sell, etc., etc. Regardless, one of the biggest things I really liked about their Q2 statement was the amount of cash on hand that they had. Granted, that came from their recent acquisition of Torchlight. I know a lot of that's going to be gone because they just recently purchased another company called Nanotech. But the fact that they had that is a really good thing, and it also supports the amount of assets in relation to liability that they have. As a matter of fact, if you actually calculated their ratio for assets to liability, you're going to get a number between 3 and 4, which is amazing. That essentially means that in that period of time, if Metamaterials had to pay off their liabilities, they could pay it off 3 to 4 times over. So that alone exemplifies safeness of a company and security of a company for that time being, which should make it easier for people to invest into, especially for the long term. On top of that, they definitely had operating expenses, and you could tell over the periods of time that it goes higher and higher. But for a company like Metamaterials that's doing a lot of new things, opening a new facility, creating new acquisitions, and therefore getting new employees, that's something that you're going to want to see. But hopefully when it's all said and done, the assets overtake those liabilities once again, and you're still getting that high ratio of at least over 1. So when it comes to a company that's as unique as Metamaterials, they're going to have to create new products that they will hopefully be able to legally sell and be the only ones doing it. So therefore, they're going to have to get patents. And the amount of patents that they've gotten is a third reason why I'm being so patient. Metamaterials made an announcement pretty recently that they were able to exceed their 200 patent plan for this year by getting up to 247. Now that does include 154 patents that are issued and 93 that are currently pending, and a lot of that came from nanotech. But what I really liked about this news is that these patents come from a lot of different avenues. For example, they come from the glucometer, which is in your medical field. It also includes the rotor-roll lithography, which is going to help with how much film they can develop over a short period of time. Things like that, and just the fact of having more verticals with all these patents is going to make them really attractive to a lot of large companies, including companies like Meta, because they can offer you multiple things and they can offer to you in a shorter period of time. And I personally believe that it makes it easier to invest into a company like Metamaterials for the long term, because all of these patents are created off different verticals and making them more widespread off a similar type of product. On top of that, they're the only company that makes these types of products or these films or metamaterials that's publicly tradable on the stock market. So they are the leaders of their sector, kind of like a Tesla with an EV. As Tesla goes up, other companies follow. Metamaterials will be the leader of that. And as other companies start to get into the metaverse, people are going to be looking at Metamaterials, a company that produces the technology that's based off the science behind those applications. And the last reason why I'm being patient on Metamaterials is based off the steps that they've taken to get to where they're at now and to where they can be in the future. Now, unfortunately for a lot of people, and even myself from time to time, Metamaterials hasn't really made any huge news about things that they've done. We haven't heard, oh, Metamaterials has been partnered up with Tesla the whole time, or Metamaterials has a partnership with Samsung, or Metamaterials has a partnership with Meta in their technology. That's something that a lot of us would really love to happen because the stock price would go up, but that's something that a lot of people would want to happen because, again, of their frustration of where the price is. They're questioning the PR, they're questioning the CEO, George Palacaris, even again to the point where they believe this company is a scam. But a lot of the news out there that may seem slightly boring is something I believe is going to be of benefit to them if it hasn't already. Now, I pulled up 2 examples of news that they've come out with in the past, some kind of on the higher end of excitement level, but it's just to prove that it's actually benefited them to be where they're at right now. The first one is the news of the 27-month-long project that was funded by a United Kingdom-based company that actually helped them create their GlucoWise at-home hub. Because of that, that put them into a new vertical in the medical field in a new sector, and it also allowed them to get a patent for their product. So now they're the only company that's legally able to sell that product. The other news that was actually fairly big and fairly recent was their acquisition of nanotech. Now, nanotech is a company that is in a different vertical, completely different. They make films that act as security features for bills, like dollar bills and other foreign currencies. And they also do branding like tickets and tags on shirts, etc., etc. But what made this acquisition really significant is the technology that they use to make that film. They are professionals at roll-to-roll lithography and other types of lithography, something that Metamaterials does and always needs. But with their facility, nanotech is able to produce significantly more than Metamaterials. But with that acquisition, Metamaterials will not only be able to help them create more, but nanotech will be able to help Metamaterials with new verticals and therefore new potential partnerships in the future. On top of that, again, nanotech was responsible for being a part of those patents that Metamaterial has had, helping them exceed their 200 plan by the end of this year and having them be over 166% year to date on the amount of patents that they've had. All these are stepping stones for Metamaterials, and I feel like all these reasons are what is helping Metamaterials become what it could eventually become. Because again, for a lot of you guys, I completely agree. When I look at the $5 a share that Metamaterials is roughly at, I do feel like it's a lot more. But I think my approach, along with a lot of other you guys, is that this is a highly discounted stock. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some more money in there and some more money in there from time to time, and we're gonna reap the benefits in the near future. Now, hopefully for a lot of you guys that are really frustrated about where this company is at, this will give you at least a little bit of relief that this company is heading in the right direction. And just like every other company that's been out in the stock market that's been created since the dawn of time, it's at its early stages. It just became public. It's now getting funded. It's now getting the acquisitions to make it more appealing, to be able to create more, to be able to do more. It's been part of the creation of this metaverse before Facebook changed its name to Meta and made everybody aware. So I really think that we gotta work on being patient. But if this is something that you're still frustrated with, or if there's things that you don't really like that I said, or even if you do, make sure you leave your comments below. I always say how I love having these conversations with you guys because we all gotta learn at the end of the day. But speaking of that video that I made about is Metamaterials a scam a while back, make sure you check out that video because it was a really interesting one. Did have a bit of controversy, but there was definitely a good ending, at least my personal opinion. So make sure you check that out. I do appreciate you guys watching. And until next time, as always, take care.